Alright, so I'm going to walk you through the savas assignments that have quizzes. There's two that have quizzes and two that do not. The two that do not have a 21st century activity. Do not do, just watch the 21st century videos. Do not do the activity. There's no way to actually submit those. Um, so the first one we're going to walk through is Lesson 2, History of Central America and the Caribbean. So, History of Central America and the Caribbean. You're going to watch the flip video, and then we're going to get into some. I'm going to summarize these to make this as fast as possible in the text. All right. So, the Mayan civilization was around 1000 BC. They're an American Indian people known as the Maya. They began settling in what is now Guatemala. The Mayan developed a highly accurate calendar and a system of writing that used symbols. Um, they were very skilled in mathematics and architecture and astronomy. So the Maya were organized into city-states, each with its own ruler. Maya cities often fought each other for land and power, but trade helped unite Maya civilization. Each city had large pyramid-shaped temples. These temples were the sites of religious celebrations to honor the many Maya gods. Maya priests studied the stars and planets. Cities also had outdoor courts where Mayas played a special ball game. So the part you need to know from there is the Maya were organized into city-states. So whenever the Spanish started colonizing the area in 1492, Christopher Columbus sailed across the Atlantic Ocean from Europe, arriving in the Bahamas. The Spanish explorers who followed him to the region established colonies and mined natural resources. In the process, they killed or enslaved millions of American Indians. So they killed or enslaved millions of American Indians. They were in search of gold and other riches, and they also wanted to convert native people into Christianity. So the encomienda was a legal system to control American Indians in the Spanish colonies. Under the encomienda, Spanish officials could tax American Indians or force them to work. In return, Spaniards were required to teach them Christianity, but encomienda soon turned into a system of slavery without religious teaching, as a Spaniard priest wrote. It says Spaniards had little concern for their souls as for their bodies. All the millions that have perished have gone to their deaths with no knowledge of God. Spaniard landowners created haciendas or huge farm ranches. Many native people died from disease or abuse. Okay, so many native people died. That's going to be important, from disease or abuse. Talking about the slavery in Caribbean, the main part of this is going to be what was grown, which was cash crops, especially sugarcane. Sugarcane was the biggest part of the cash crop that was grown in the Caribbean. All right. And then you'll answer the question on your own. Getting into the independence for Central America and the Caribbean. Uh, Actually, I forgot one thing over here where it talks about slavery. Grew crash crops, native people killed. So Caribbean, most native people in the Caribbean had died from being killed or died from disease. Sugar plantations imported Africans to do the work. So Africa on this trade route uh, provided slaves. That's going to be important to know. All right, so we're moving on to the independence. This part is going to be on the test, the rebellion of Haiti. In the late 1700s, the people of Saint Dominique revolted against their French rulers. French rulers in Haiti. You're going to need to know that Haiti was controlled by France. France controlled Haiti. Just put Haiti and France together and you'll find the answer pretty easily on the test. So, as things go on, in 1821, the Kingdom of Guatemala declared independence from Spain. But after they got their independence, they depended on outsiders. So what that means is they depended on other countries to help build their, depended on foreign investors to help build their economies. One big foreign investor for them was the United States. The U.S. investors rebuilt and took control of industries such as sugar, coffee, and bananas. They also took over land and built the Panama Canal. That's what the U.S. did for this area. Over time, throughout the 1900s, dictatorships or governments controlled by a single leader became common. Dictators like I can never say his name. Batista of Cuba limited political freedoms. As the Cuban economy grew, U.S. investors profited. Then Fidel Castro is going to be important for the question after this. Fidel Castro led a communist revolution in Cuba, taking power in 1959. So Fidel Castro led the communist, keyword communist, okay, in 1959 to control Cuba. All right, so that's kind of a breakdown of the history of Central America and the Caribbean. And now let's get a breakdown of history of Brazil. Again, you're going to watch the flip video and do everything on your own, but I'm going to give you a breakdown of the history of Brazil. All right. So the Portuguese in Brazil. Brazil takes up more than half of South America's area. That's because Brazil is a pretty big place. But its history is a lot different. Unlike most countries in South America, Brazil was colonized by Portugal. Very important. Brazil was colonized by Portugal. So its people speak Portuguese, not Spanish. Okay. Let's see. Okay, there's that. Portuguese explorers arrived to claim the land in the Treaty of Tordesillas in 1494. Spain claimed all American lands west of a set line of longitude. Portugal claimed to the east. And then, so the Portuguese first established trading posts in the northeast coast. The Portuguese traded with the native Brazilians for Brazil wood. which is a wood that produced a red dye. This wood gave Brazil its name. The Portuguese set up an export economy, which is an economic based on exports. So, sending out this Brazil wood. Then they started doing sugarcane or creating sugar, and they began forcing native Brazilians into slavery to work on sugar plantations. But native people either fled or died. Okay, this is going to be important for your questions. Native people either fled or died of the European diseases brought by the settlers. Okay. And then to replace the native Brazilians, the Portuguese brought African slaves to work on the plantations. African culture helped shape Brazil's culture. Traditions such as capoeira, which is in this picture right here, it's a type of martial arts. The African slaves weren't allowed to defend themselves, so they created a martial art that is a lot like dance or looks like dance, but it's actually a very effective defense mechanism to fight with. Brazil's slave-based economy was part of a mercantile system. In mercantilism, colonies benefit the parent country. Brazilians were expected to export products to Portugal. They were not allowed to trade with other countries. So they were only allowed to trade with Portugal. Um, then on March 7th, 1808, the people of Rio de Janeiro uh, awoke to an extraordinary sight. A fleet of Portuguese ships were approaching the harbor. On board were refugees from war-torn Europe, but unlike many refugees, these people were not poor. In fact, the new arrivals were members of the Portuguese royal family. For the next 13 years, Rio de Janeiro would be their home. So the royal family actually lived in Portugal or in Brazil for 13 years. Let's see here. So they did this to escape Napoleon because Napoleon was at this time trying to take over most of Europe. So okay, and then the other questions on the quiz you'll be able to find in the flip video. If there's any questions or anything like that, just message me or ask me in the Zoom.